you will ever meet. I'm really and truly, just even talking about it, if I start thinking about it, I lose it. One of my heroes is Woody Allen. I mean, you know, it's all about being neurotic and just being shy. However, I also have a personality, and I've learned how to use that. If it was up to me, whenever I'd say, and I was a good student, but in every class I'd sit in the corner because I had a good view and because all the really fun folk always sat in the back of the class. But I also learned and I also spoke up and I still sat in the back. I want to be part of the woodwork. I want to blend in. Unfortunately, it ain't me. Okay. So putting all of that together so you understand part of why I'm a cartoon character doing a presentation is pretty much going to be in some ways kind of cartoony. And again, Margaret knows because the presentation, I know I've raised a couple of eyebrows in my presentation to y'all. But that's who I am, and you have to be totally true to yourself, which is what part of my big message was to y'all. You really have to be from my eyes because I can see but not well. You really have to bring that out also in your PowerPoint. I don't know what your focus is. Actually, that's one of the things I was wondering about. Are you all looking at doing just presentations in general, or are you going to be doing a presentation at a conference or conferences, that sort of thing? Okay, one of the things that I would highly suggest, and I think I brought that up in y'all's presentation. By the way, I'm ESL, in spite of the y'all. If I get stuck in Spanish, I will translate unless I'm cussing, then you're on your own. And if you understand me, God bless you, and I'm sorry. On the one hand, you want to be innovative, and actually that's what I call my presentation, which will be coming up shortly, thank God. It's evolution and revolution. I think you have to really be true to yourself. You have to do what you need to do. But however, you also have to keep in mind your discipline or the group that you're presenting to and what they're used to. I honestly am not a fan of shaking the foundation just for the sake of trying to get something new across, because what can happen is people can shut down. So I think you have to keep a lot of what is said here, and I'm also going to post presentations, good and bad, and links to different how to do presentations websites. You have to take that and sort of balance it with who you're presenting to, because that's my notification for my messages. I've got several of them. I figure my phone should be as obnoxious as I am. Or so. So it's a balancing act, and I'm sure that you've probably already started. Are you rats or rats? Okay. So cool. So we can be a little bit more adult in here and turn off the recorder every once in a while. We're here. I'm still a grad student, by the way. This is what happens when you go to grad school. I'm 26, and look at what happens. But we're here to be professionalized, and we're here to learn. And I don't give a flying grapefruit what the kumbaya mythology is of, we come to educate. Maybe you shouldn't be here. An education of higher learning to share and to grow. But that's not the way it really works. You go into an institution and you are professionalized within your field, within the institution, within the field, and within the way that department works. And then, as we all know, you're also professionalized according to how your advisors and your committee members work. Again, this goes back to this whole thing with the presentations. If you're presenting in front of a group, first of all, you should always keep it simple and so on. Do the Steve Jobs thing. I'm not a fan of dictator Steve Jobs. However, his keynote presentations are brilliant. His is the model for what all presentations should be like. So keep that in mind. And I'm sure you've all gone through enough presentations and sat through enough. How many of you have sat through good PowerPoint presentations more than once? Really? Wow, I'm impressed. How many of you have sat through way too many bad presentations? Well, you talked about a good one just now, so yes. Bad presentations. Okay. I will also tell you, I was very disappointed about 5 years ago, there was a visitor here who did a lecture. He was from, who do Toy Story? Pixar. Sorry. Who are these people? What's the name of these people who do Pixar? Who do this Toy Story? Pixar. And he did a PowerPoint presentation. I was like, cool, because it came on and it was already the Steve Jobs thing with a black background. But then it was white text, and it was so badly designed. I was just so depressed because in the end, he did the stuff that I'm going to show you shouldn't do. So, and I'm going to show you, by the way, my evolution with PowerPoint, so you'll see that how I've learned. Any questions, any comments? How do I get it to project, by the way? Oh. Well, it may not have detected yet. Well, it's still coming up, so that's also true. Oh, you know what? All right, so by the way, this room is probably, can we do one or two things? Can somebody close a couple, maybe the two in the center? Okay, nothing's coming up. Nothing's coming up, something's coming up. Oh, there it is. Okay, perfect. And maybe also upping. Again, this is one of the things you need to think about. When you're going to present somewhere, you know, a lot of times, no, that's pretty good. Well, I mean, I think that'd be better. Yeah, go ahead. The conditions aren't going to be favorable at all. You're going to have a projector that's probably, you know, we don't think about this, but most projectors, or a lot of projectors, have different formatting and different programming and have different color settings. And one of the great things, and I'm not a fan of either system, one of the really great things about a Mac is that it does have a place in the display settings where you can actually go in and create, but you have to create them, you have to download them, little, I forget what they're called, but let's call them files that have different kinds of information for different types of displays, of projectors. You can't do that on a PC. So sometimes you'll go in, this has happened to me, you'll plug in and everything that you thought would be all these colors that would look one way, when you're projecting, you ain't getting what you thought you were getting. There's also the fact, and this is something to think about also, there's something called the safe zone. Safe zone, and I'll show you that in a second. Let's see. There's a safe zone, and not all projectors show you what you think is going to be shown because they have different parameters for how much they're going to show as part of them. Yeah. The good thing is that my computer's already being set up and I should be getting it this week. Okay. Now, the other thing about a Mac, Keynote. PowerPoint is wonderful, but Keynote has a certain depth to it, and this is a program that was developed specifically for Steve Jobs for his brilliant presentations, and it also has a few more really nifty transitions and animations, and I'm not a fan of doing them unless you're using them for transitions or for a purpose. One of the things, let me start this now.
Is that something with class Keynote?
Yes, it's part of iWorks, and it's part of their equivalent to Windows Office Suite. It includes Pages and an Excel-style spreadsheet application. This is, of course, it never works the way you plan it. When I used to teach, and by the way, I've taught here, I've taught at SFSU. The topics that I taught were African American studies and a lot of gender, but everything almost exclusively based on media. So at the beginning of the class, I learned this from Milton Harrison. I would have, he always displays music. Because I'm really super visual, I would prepare little videos that I would tell the students. This ain't about y'all, it's really, I really mean this, it's about me to get me in the mood. This is one of them. This is the type of thing that you can do with PowerPoint or not the video itself, although however, you can, with images and transitions and music in the background, create something pretty close to this. This is actually a video, a DVD I created. This is the menu that then I ripped. I'm also really good at ripping stuff and doing all kinds of stuff with videos. So if you need stuff for that, let me know. And I also know enough stuff to copyright to help you cover your butt. And then I just ripped it and created that into a movie file and then dropped it in the PowerPoint. So this is very early. And one of the reasons I'm showing this, and you'll see it in a couple of images, that the quality is not very good. They're really grainy because they're really small images with really low resolution. And what happens is they just look really crappy. This is one of the things you've got to watch out for in your PowerPoint. If you're going to use an image, make absolutely sure that it's a good quality image. Otherwise, it just ruins the effect of what you're trying to do. Here's one coming up, as a matter of fact, with Ursula Anderson. This is such a bad image. Anyway, so this is the title, blah, 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 blah. This is who I am. About me, pretty much, we already talked about that. A friend of mine once said, I was doing a presentation, it was probably the only big conference, again, because I'm so horrified of speaking in front of people. He said, why are you so afraid? You know, you are the expert, okay? And he was right. And now, I will tell you, again, about the rehearsing thing. This wasn't with PowerPoint. I rehearsed for like a week. I would rehearse in the shower. I would rehearse on the muni because I was living in San Francisco at the time. Anytime, I also timed it. What happened was, after I did my presentation, sat in the car, and it was all over. The very first thing I did when I turned on the car and sat down by myself, I started rehearsing because it became that automatic. The other thing about that, but it was good, it was great, it really went over well. As you can see, I had no notes. I had no notes about that either. It was something I knew about. And I was the only presenter who didn't have any notes, didn't go over his time, and whatever I skipped, as I'm sure you've already heard, we talked about during the question and answer period. Okay? And if you don't bring up everything, so what? Okay? Let's get it. Okay, so the expert is you. Whoops. Okay, the other thing is I've been setting this up because I'm really busy. And some of the effects and things that you can use with PowerPoint. This was about a discussion about the images of Martin Luther King and about specifically looking at, please tell me it didn't unplug. Oh, technology is worse. Okay. So anyway, what that was I have a dream speech. And there's an image of Martin Luther King that I set to fade in at a timer. While I'm talking about it and going, you know, we all see the images of, let me end that. Okay, I'm going. Plug it again. You know, all we think of is, you know, the Martin Luther King, I have a dream. Okay? But this guy, just before he died, was talking, you know, with the unions and you know, defending the unions and out there for labor. And this man, in his I have a dream speech, there's anger and frustration. And as we're talking about that, he's appearing. And it's my favorite picture of him. And it's one that you'll never rarely see. I just found it by accident. And he's in a robe from some graduation or something, commencement. And he's just staring down the camera with these 2 or 3 other guys doing the same thing. That's not the Martin Luther King we know. And that was the whole idea. It was about a moment of drama. Okay? It wasn't about a lot of flashy everything. It was that one, okay, goosebumps, just think about it. I love this stuff. And that's the other thing, by the way. If you're not going to love what you're doing, move on. Move on. You will get shot down. Because people are going to be out there sometimes just to shoot you down anyway. It's just the way it works. There's always going to be there's always somebody who's going to be disagreeing with you. And if you can't take it, move on. So, you're getting a lesson in all the stuff not to do. So maybe that's a good thing. Okay. So again, and we'll get back to that effect. What you're going to be seeing in these next few slides is my progression in attempting to, on the one hand, be artistic, but on the other hand, to make the, because I already knew, the effects, I hate most of those effects. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to basically still be artistic and still be individual. Also, please do yourselves a favor. Avoid the templates, unless you're really good and unless what you're going to do fits. Because the templates, and we're going to talk about posters later on, and the thing about the templates is that it limits you to within certain parameters in a presentation that you should have as little information as possible. Because it's about me. It's not about y'all. What do we do when there's a lot of words out there? We read it. Okay? The poster is the total opposite. You want the people to read it. You want them, and then you're standing next to it. I've never done this, but from what I've heard, and I've given presentations on this, and this is what they told me. You're there just to add. And so what really is supposed to have the attention is the poster. So the better organized it is within certain parameters, the better. Okay? One more time. Is it showing up? No, because it's never right now. There we go. And one more time. There. Any questions, comments? Am I going too fast? Should I maybe take a deep breath and relax? No? Yes?
I thought that it's kind of just a background, right? Or no?
It's the background, and it also does have the text boxes and so on. And it also includes the type of font. You can change all that, and then you can create your own. But honestly, in the long run, I really think, and I do have, and I'll show you this, I do have my own template, but it's just one slide for drop the image here, so that it's always in the same place, no matter where the image goes, and you'll hopefully see that. And then the other one is just another slide with a text box with a certain huge font that I can adjust in a specific color, that then I can type and use, but that it's always going to be pretty much the same. And you'll see that in one of the... So where was I? Let's down this way. So we were on Martin Luther King. You get the idea, right? Okay.
Just years ago.
All right, so there's the picture. I love that picture.
Oh.
See what I'm saying? Now let me ask you this. Did I not pretty much describe the picture? You could have gone on without seeing the picture. I mean, it's nice to see the picture, don't get me wrong. But that's it. That's exactly it. And that is one really frustrated and angry man. Okay? To me, I must say, I thought, he's scary. I mean, he absolutely looks scary, but that's not the image that we see. This is the kind of thing that I do, by the way. Not so much my job now, but you had a question too, by the way.
You had to do with templates, because you said avoid templates limits you in a presentation, and then you sidetracked yourself by reading making the poster the focus as opposed to...
Right.
So whatever more you have to say.
Right, well, and I'll show you, actually, there are some slides here that show you the very worst of what can happen. Because, especially if you have images and stuff like that, and then it's a distraction. It's a total distraction. And again, what it should be about is Steve Jobs. Whatever you're talking about, to back you up. Okay, and that's one of my big arguments with one of the professors I worked with and I absolutely love. But he used to use all these fancy templates, and it's like, dude. So anyway. All right, so this is my very first. One of the things I absolutely hate about this, there's a couple of things. It's not bold. I am a big fan of all of your font. Every letter should be bold, okay, because it's more legible that way. I'm also a big fan of, look at all this empty real estate, right? What is that about, okay? And you see this all the time. Also, the fancier font. However, I will say one of the things, and again, not everybody will recommend this, but I'm a big fan of the sans serif. And I just use Arial for Helvetica. Just keep it as simple as possible. In the long run, it should be legible, because again, if we didn't have these blinds, we could have turned off the lights here in this presentation. It would make it, well, this would be unreadable. The other thing is, I will say, I am a big fan of complementary colors. But it doesn't look good here. It doesn't work as a PowerPoint slide. Same thing, I do put it up here a little bit more, but still very difficult to read. Same thing. But however, some of the great things, we were talking about cult of celebrity. And this is a bunch of youngins, younger than y'all. And of course, Britney Spears was really popular at the time. I think at that time, when I did this, was at the time that she was caught with that. You know, that famous shot of her getting out of the car. I won't go into details. And so I said, cult of celebrity in history, you have Greta Garbo. This woman, until the day she died, there were people who were paid, who made a living just hanging out of her, where she lived and following her. This was someone who was in her 80s. And just this action of doing this and having this image come in and come out, same sort of thing as I did before. This is where animations are absolutely amazing to me. Okay, because they can enhance what you're talking about. Later iteration, a little bit better, I think. As you can see, bold. I think this is either Arial or the other one. The background isn't so wild, and but it's still a bit much. Okay, with the red. Then this one. We were talking about the group projects, and you know how much we all love working in group projects. And so I figured, let me have a little fun with the students. And so, you know, we're going to start talking about the group projects, and all these start popping up while we're talking about it, okay? First smiling, and then, you know, again. But again, you see what I mean? This is what those animations, those really artsy things, what they're really good for. One of the things, two things to avoid in a PC, clip art and word art. Their definition is not as good, and if you're projecting them and if you size them really big, on your monitor they might look okay, but they're going to look fuzzy up here. And word art. By the way, I also want to add that all of this, not this, but the later stuff, that like I'm telling you now, where I work for, again, let me go back to that, I work for Academic Technology Services, part of and we're part of the group that we have is a couple of guys who do posters, but they do them on Publisher or Photoshop or whatever. They're for the professional stuff. And they also work on PowerPoint for a lot of departments. I mean, one of them just did like a 240 slide presentation for some cancer research at the medical center for, I think it was an $18 million grant. So these guys are pros. But even with them, they have, and going back to what I said earlier, they will sometimes sit there and go, I can't believe I'm doing this on this slide, but it's what the customer wants. So you have to sort of settle into the culture that you're presenting for. But a lot of the tips that I'm giving you now, what's really good that I've learned over the last year and a half, is because I go to them a lot of times and I'll say, you know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I've also sometimes, when I've had students that I've worked with that have consulted with me about their PowerPoint, I'll take it to them and say, what do y'all think? And I'll take it to the web designers and say, what do y'all think? Because these are, I'm not artistic. I've just got opinions on everything. But they know, and that's how I learn. Okay? So, anyway, little humor never hurt. Oh, this is another one of those really good uses, I think, of PowerPoint. We were talking about Fawn Hall around contra hearings. She was the secretary for Ollie North. Very intelligent woman, obviously, because to be a secretary for someone like Ollie North, you have to be intelligent, because the secretary, in those days they were called secretaries, they didn't call them executive assistants. They run the business, just like the people who run the departments here in the office. They're the ones who run the departments. Most of you probably already know. However, she is very pretty. What did the media focus on? Her looks. Eventually, she disappeared as this pivotal historical character and just became the model. But she wasn't really good at it anyway. She wouldn't have even gotten to the first round of America's Next Top Model, I think. But again, this is To me, this is the kind of use where because it's not really about the words, it's about the images and what I'm trying to convey. I think the slide itself is kind of sucky, except when it starts doing this. Okay, so conventional, this is the one. There was discussion about tourism and cultural tourism and so on. And I'd seen this picture and I almost created a riot in the class. And I'm not going to go into why, but yeah, it's a problematic image, okay, for many reasons. And so, but again, it's that same effect of it comes in and it can hit you right between the eyes. Which is again why you need to be the expert, because the bottom line is, I wasn't ready. I mean, I knew I'd get a reaction, but I wasn't ready for how riled up everybody got. For and against that image and for and against each other's opinions. But if you're not the expert, and if you're not, this is the other one, and maybe for some of you who are going to be teachers, if y'all blame the parental unit, they hijack your presentation. So you have to be fully cognizant of the fact that you know what you're doing. And if you don't know, you're still fully aware enough to be able to say, I don't know, let's move on, we'll discuss it later, bring me a question, whatever. Again, this is another iteration. I started getting a little better here, but still, this is just horrible, too much colors. Now, here's what I tried to do with this, and again, this is sometimes where we fail with good intentions. This was for them, this is actually a quiz, and I wanted them to get an idea, and we talked about it, but really, it didn't help at all. Because what are you all doing now? You're reading what's going on, you're not paying attention to me, right? And it's just too much, it's just too busy, it's too small. Same thing for this. I wanted them to read a sample of something really badly written. And then a sample of something that was, and then talk about writing. Doesn't make any sense. I was going to hand this out to them anyway. Talk to them about it, maybe give them a few excerpts, and then, hand this out. Another iteration, a little better, again with the complementary colors. Red and green are opposing colors. This is... Okay, this is for presentation. Again, this is another, and it's doing it on its own, if I'm not mistaken, because it's been a while since I've done this. But what it should be doing on the click, here we go. You have to hand it to those Italian directors. This is for a presentation on Fistful of Dollars, which was the first spaghetti western. It was for a class that was about spaghetti westerns. And for any of you, I don't know how many of y'all are film buffs, but that's based on Kurosawa's Yojimbo, which and so that's from a scene in Kurosawa's Yojimbo where the dog, and then he's in this town and he's like, why is everybody acting so freaky? And this dog walks up with a tendon. And that was actually the video. It was supposed to be a little video clip, but because I deleted it, it just showed that. And then that's how I started the presentation. But I started with a joke, but it also told them exactly where we were going. We were going to talk about Yojimbo and about the Italian directors. Okay? Got their attention. By the way, I got the instructor's approval before doing this. Why? Because the instructor who taught this class never used PowerPoint. He would just show the film and do all of that. And out of respect, because he was open to it, I'll tell you who it was, as a matter of fact, Richard McConnell, who's now the head of the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, which used to be at TRC. Again, you have to, you can't make enemies and you can't upset people, because some people would take what I did as showing them up. And that's not what I wanted to do. And he let me do the presentation my way, from beginning to end. Where are we going here? Oh, okay. So, okay, so this is just a little more. I tried to get artsy. Please don't do that. Please. A clip now, again, another advantage of the keynote is that if you mouse over, and I haven't seen 2011 yet, Office 2011, but for something that you want to discuss, you mouse over, you stop it, you can go back and forth, you can play the video in the slide. That rocks. Okay, and that's only in Keynote. Again, I don't know about the new version. I'm supposed to be getting it any day now of Office. Okay, in the Mac. So that's that. This is my final, before starting to work here actually, this is what I went to. I still think it's a little dark, but I think overall it's getting better. The one thing I have to own up to is that it's a gradient, it's black on top, and it's slightly red on the bottom. I don't even know if you can tell it. Y'all don't know, but I do. I got my red in. But it's still too dark. By this point also, I have to tell you, I was asking the students how good it was for them, how visible, and I was already making changes. Because by that time, even before I got this job, I was already beginning to think of them, because they're the ones who have to look at this stuff, not me. Well, I mean, I looked at it for hours. The other really good thing I like about this, by the way, here's another, again, example of some of the transitions and things we were talking about, stereotypes of Asians, specifically women. She was, oh my God, I can't believe it. Anna Wong. Anime Wong, thank you. And I really, just as a note, my favorite picture of her is that one, because it's the one I'm assuming before she became, right, the Hollywood star. But I also used those really small because they weren't as good and as high resolution as the other ones. But there's still ways of adding them into the thing. Now, one of the things about PowerPoint and Keynote, this is a link. You can click on it, it'll take you to the page. However, one of the things that absolutely frustrated me about this was that even if you prep and open the browser and open the page and set up and plug it in and click that link, PowerPoint and Keynote are both going to open up the browser, go to the page, and interrupt your flow. Hell no. By the way, this was, I don't know how many of you remember the commercial about 4 years ago, the Snickers one, where the guys touched lips and did something manly by pulling the hair out of their chest. Still have it, by the way. Wonderful commercial. It was taken off YouTube. They never showed it again because everybody got all bent down the street. Anyway, but nowadays we have keepfit.com. You go to YouTube, you copy the link of whatever video you want. And now YouTube, some of the video you can actually download straight from YouTube, by the way. I haven't done that yet because I'm not doing that as much. But keepfit.com, you take the URL, like it says here, you copy it in there, hit download, and it'll download it in Flash and in MP4, high quality, low quality, blah, 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 depending on the video, depending on the original video. So you use it. And now, which I think is really cool, I discovered yesterday because it's been a while, if you're on YouTube and you're watching the video and you go to Keepfit, it automatically takes and plugs in. I'm like, dude, this is awesome, because for a while there it was really sketchy. But now it's really smooth, okay? And this will work with other platforms. There is also a tool on the Mac, and I'm sure there's also one for the PC. It's a screen capture tool called Snapshot. And that one you can screen capture images, but you can also screen capture video. Very memory intensive, very slow, but it's awesome because that's how you can do, like, if you're doing instruction on how to, click here. But if you've got some video that you can't, you're not here, turn that off. You can get some video and just get it, copy it, and then make it into your movie and drop it in your PowerPoint. Side note about copyright, since I'm being recorded. For educational purposes, the doors have been opened even more, and there's more permissions for that now. As long as you don't distribute that video later on. So if you use it in the classroom, group. Okay, whereas before it was kind of sketchy. But also, I have to say, like, all my girlfriend's DVDs, I have all 8 seasons, my favorite shows, I bought for class because I can get them on YouTube, on Netflix. But I bought them because I use them all the time. 3 courses on that show. So I bought those for educational purposes. The same thing with departments. If they have videos, like a lot of departments have their own collections or instructors have their own collections, they bought with grant money or department money, that's okay because that's why you pay an extra premium. So there's ways of getting around it. So, any questions before I go on? No? Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. By the way, good use of a template. I have to say, this is from one of the presentations This one is very well designed, but it's very rare. Some of the stuff that it says, good. Oh, color. Ooh, they're British. I'm so impressed with this OUR endings. They just sound so truly like they know what they're talking about. Being a foreigner, I'm impressed easily with that kind of stuff. Spelling and grammar, proofread. I gotta say, I love this. It is an over-the-top example, but that's the reality also a lot of times. Another thing, and I was watching a video, and I'm going to put the link on there for y'all. It's a YouTube video on how to do good public presentations. And what was fascinating to me was that the man is obviously talking about this part, not this part. And his slide had beautiful image, but then it had this green, this very light white, not bold text right over this very light green color. So you couldn't barely read what the slide said. You want to see really good slides, by the way. How many of you watch the PBS specials where people like, ¿cómo se llama el hombre? Oh Lord, he's a spiritual guy with over the bald guy. Anyway, anybody? No. They have slides, but they have the kinds of slides that are perfect. Just 1 or 2 points. In all of those, the Dr. Amen, with the brain stuff and everything, really beautifully thought out slides. That's the kind of thing you should be watching out for. Are we going to get into the slides? Let's see. Because I had some stuff. Here we go. Oh, okay. This is a presentation I did for what it says, SmartSite 2.6. This was for actually department heads and the technical people for a lot of different departments, which freaked me out because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to do this. This was a presentation that had originally been done by my boss and some other people, and I just said, can I tailor this to me? Because I knew what I was talking about. And this is the way I did it. One of the things that I talked about with Steve and Steve, the 2 PowerPoint guys, I don't know if you caught on, but all of my slides had green and or blue. I want the slide not only to stand out, but also to have a certain serenity to it. Because God only knows I ain't about serenity at all, at least not on the outside and not when I'm presenting. So I wanted a calming color. What they told me kind of freaked me out. The most calming color is pink, not hot pink, but a lighter pink. They found this in the 70s, and actually they were telling me that in the 70s what they actually did was, I'd never heard of this. I'm an airhead, so maybe I didn't notice. It was like a pet rock kind of thing, where they would sell like this little piece of either rug or something. It was pink. It was like, oh, you stare at it and you'd be peaceful and blah, 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 So what I did on their recommendation, and this is also part of their recommendation, by the way, and I actually did consult with them on this one, black background. Because in a room like this, it blends in better. And don't ever use the white background, because that's glaring. That's just truly glaring. Also, even if it's darker, it's going to be more. Even if it's more light in here, it's going to be more visible with the light colored text. The text, 2 different variations of the same color. I actually have 4 that I've saved and I always use. Slightly pink. You can barely tell, maybe. I don't know if you can notice it. The other one's a little lighter. Just 1 image, and then that, and then the rest of the presentation transition. Right? Open door. We formed. Timeline, again, a transition, that's why I did that. A link. I knew what I was talking about, so I didn't have to have any more details. This, by the way, again, another transition. For some reason, people really like that. These are all links. You can link in PowerPoint and Keynote, so you can click on that. It's not in this one, because I just copied these. And it would go to other slides and then come back. So you can actually have loops that you can go to depending even on how your discussion goes. Which is what I wasn't sure about how much time I have. So again, very plain, very simple. The 2 colors, by the way, also, I don't know if you're noticing.
And under those loops are only in Keynote?
And in PowerPoint.
Oh, they are in PowerPoint.
Yeah, it'll do the same thing. This is just because I love it. Sorry, this is from that presentation on Fistful of Dollars. get the live feed arrow. And that's a loop, by the way. The guy laughing, it wasn't longer because it had to be restraining myself. So, good PowerPoint. Good, concise PowerPoint. I love that. I don't know if you heard it, but it's all about Christmas, and it's just 1 or 2 slides. And she's also, on top of everything else, doing precisely what you should be doing. Now, paying attention to the slides because they're helping you keep in focus. They're supporting what you're saying, and she's not even looking at them. She knows. Bam, 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 bam. Superb. Okay? This is a superb PowerPoint presentation. There is something, and I'm going to post this also. And there's one example in YouTube. It's called Pachachka, and Pachachka is Pichakucha is the way it looks, and it's 20 slides, 20 seconds, and you have to time it and you have to go through it. Not good for educational purposes, but if you practice something like that, you got to be on point. Okay. Now the other one that I love, when technology fails. How appropriate. You were on motorcycle insurance. Let's keep rolling. They know what they're talking about. And even their slides were, again, really concise, really accurate. Let's see what else is here. Even with the power failure, I still did it. Damn. Thank you. Again, and my contact information. I don't have a card anymore because I'm getting my PhD this year. I don't care who I have to kill. And I'm not going to print up any more cards until I have that PhD on. So, any questions? Yeah?
I have a question for you images in the slide. Is there any sort of convention where it's best to split them?
As you saw, wherever it fits and however it will most highlight and most work to benefit what you're trying to say. Which is why I did some of those transitions where the pictures appear and so on. Because But it takes thinking out. And one of the things I have to say about this, I will say, most of the time when I was teaching at SFSU, I'd take the train. And I took hours preparing those classes. But by the time I got there, I had rehearsed it and I had looked at it so much. And I was so familiar with what I was doing because I had even thought out those flares of doing that sliding and stuff, that when I got up in front of class, it was all right. So you have to, again, this is an excellent situation where you can ask, and I would always suggest talking to someone, showing it to someone and saying, what do you think? Bottom line, this is no convention.
I have a comment. see, I told you so. And he knows much better what he's doing. And I love it because you confirmed so many things that I was saying before.
And you're in trouble with information.
In my lectures and about ADAs and about audience. See, I told you. I'm very excited that you said as many things that you said because that's what I've been aiming at.
Alrighty.
Sorry about the technical difficulty.
Right. Oh, no. But I mean, just in general, you don't want me supporting you. Your credibility flies out the window. I've never joined a club that was happiest man with professionals. Anybody else?
So we have, just to let you guys know, next week on Tuesday we're going to have our computer lab. Fernando's going to be there, so bring anything you've got working on to the PowerPoint, you can get started on it in the lab, and he's going to be there to help us and figure out how to do it.
Yes, and what I would really like
I can send an email out to the location.
Yeah, and what I really like is, if possible, if any of you have stuff and you're willing to be the scapegoat, and ask, not the scapegoat, but the sacrificial lamb.
Well, I mean,
I'm the scapegoat because you can always blame me. But in your case, if you have anything specifically that you have in mind that you're thinking of doing, bring it in and we'll share it. Because honestly, to me, and again, it's the best way to learn, because I don't have the best taste. I'm not very artistic. I'm very analytical. But when it comes to the artistic stuff, there's other people that can bring in stuff. And even if you're not analytical, I mean, it just depends. You know, there's always a great passion that wants to do. So yes, please. And also proposers are going to be doing the same thing. Anything else?
I have a question. So you said that not using white background is a user application?
Yes.
But I mean, I have some teacher of mine told me just the opposite. He told me like keep it simple, keep the white background, and then like few things and in black usually because it reads better. This is what he told me.
Okay. So you know what? What did I say at the beginning? When you're working with that professor, you follow that. When you're not working with that professor, you do whatever you feel is right.
Okay.
The other thing I would suggest, and especially on the Mac, it's a lot easier, taking that white background and just giving it a slight beigeness or something to cut down the glare, because that's what really gets me. It's not the white per se, it's just that glare, especially when it's that. Everything else, and as a matter of fact, one of the slide presentations that I have that recommends how to do stuff is on white. So, you know, but so it's also a matter of taste. So yes, so that was one that was doing it. Oh, that's it. Anybody else? Thank you very much.